right, guys. Yep, we're going to go ahead and move on. We had a poll in there. People wanted to stay around for a while, but it's getting closer towards that 50-50, which means most recent voters are saying, let's move on. As a whole, a lot to unpack from what he's saying. If you are not from the United States and you have no idea who this is RFK Jr. He is a former Democrat running on the independent ticket here in America for president. He has garnered a major support across the United States from both the Democratic and Republican parties. There's a lot of people, myself included, who would have loved for there to be a legitimate chance for him to win presidency. Unfortunately, though, there's not. And so the big takeaways here that everyone needs to know is we just heard him say he is suspending his candidacy, not ending it. He's going to remain on the ballot in certain states. And he told you, if you're in a red state or a blue state, vote for me. And the reason why he's saying that, I want to make sure people understand this, is because he still wants to make the point very clear. The current political system in the United States is broken, and we need to make our voices heard, that we need to end it. But he did urge everybody in the swing states. We're talking about Georgia, where I currently reside at the moment. We're talking about the Pennsylvania, the Ohio. I'm not going to be able to list all of them right off the top. I think he said there was 10 of them. He's urging every single person in a swing state to go and cast their vote for Donald Trump. And he specified here, I don't know the details if he explained it or not, T-Shroom, but he specified that it did sound like he received some form of offer from Donald Trump to be inside the cabinet, which I think is going to be amazing. This is absolutely beneficial to anyone's bags. A lot of people in here might be saying, I don't really care about politics. I just want to know, are my Bitcoin or Cardano or AVAX or Ethereum holdings going to go up or down? This is a very, very bullish thing for the markets. That's why we were playing it. While we were live, Bitcoin now just eclipsed 63,800. T-shirt. I want to show my screen here. We are breaking out right now. This is the level I talked about this morning, this green line, that we would get a lot of bullish moves if we broke above it. Sure enough, that is what's happening right now. Still do not be that surprised if we pull back a little bit and come back down this green line, turning it into support. That's very common to turn former resistance into support. But everything we just heard from RFK is 100% bullish. Adding that onto the back of what we heard this morning from Jerome Powell and the Fed, we're seeing a lot of things come in that should bring at least short-term bullishness to the markets. Anything is possible over the next month. Anything's possible over the next 6 months, next year, next 10 years. But for the short term, the markets are clearly saying today has been a bullish day. We'll check out more charts towards the end of the show, but I'm so glad to have Caleb Franzen back on the show with us for the first time in a while. Now, here's the cool thing. Someone was asking earlier, he is no longer a European guy, even though the hair and the looks look amazing. It looks like he could still pass for European. You're coming to us from Southern California, are you not, Caleb?
Yeah, I've been back in my first of all, epic to be here. Really excited for this.
Yeah.
Cool watching the RFK announcement and a bit of the live stream there. A lot of really great perspectives and important perspectives that were shared there. So I'm glad. Hopefully some people are hearing that for the first time. And for those of us who aren't hearing it for the first time, it's reiterating the importance of his message. So I think that's great. But yeah, I'm back in Southern California right now. I just got back about a month and a half ago, and I'll be heading back to Europe again in mid-September after I go to the Future Proof conference down in Huntington Beach in mid-September. So yeah.
There we go. That's going to be amazing. Now, let's just go ahead and dive in the deep end. It's already 3:28. We're halfway through the show. We might run past 4 o'clock, everybody. Honestly, RFK was supposed to go live at 2 p.m. We thought he would be finished by the time we went live. He wasn't. So that's why we picked it up. And even though he didn't talk a lot, actually, I don't think he talked about cryptocurrency at all. Yeah. Those points he talked about, he's still going. And he's going to go for a while. And we'll check back in maybe next week and hear more. I really love – I didn't mean to keep speaking until next week, but I really loved what he was going into. And I said it in chat. I'll be very honest with you guys. There are policies that RFK has that I would say, you know what, I don't know if I agree with that specific policy. But, and I want to hear what you, T. Shroom and Caleb, think. I believe he is the first political figure in a very, very, very long time that I truly believe speaks truth to the American people. He doesn't sugarcoat information. He gives it to us straight. He is not a liar. He might get information wrong from time to time, but that's not the same as lying whatsoever. How do you guys feel about RFK as a whole? How do you feel about this speech? And then we'll jump into discussing all of the recent information happening. It's going to be a good one. But I'll start off with you, Caleb. What are your thoughts as a whole about RFK?
I don't really want to talk too much about politics myself, so I'll pass it over to T-Shroom. And
what a safe answer there. What a safe
say.
answer. Yeah, T-Shroom, what about you?
Well, for those of you all watching, you're probably like, wait, who's this American politician? All of this. We usually talk about crypto prices and asset prices exclusively, but this is an election year, and in the United States, the biggest market in the world, biggest investment companies in the world, it matters, right? And then also, as an American, some of the other stuff that he was talking about, like health and elections and media, all that kind of stuff is really, really important. Tim, to address your question directly, I don't think that we have had a politician quite like RFK in a while. I think Bernie Sanders kind of was close-ish in a way. I think he definitely exercises some autonomy as a senator. I don't agree with a lot of his policies, but I would say that he does kind of go against the grain in a lot of ways.
Very full of passion as well. Yeah, I actually agree with that take. Yeah, I probably disagree with Bernie on a lot more than I disagree with RFK, but you cannot deny the passion that Bernie Sanders had.
And then Donald Trump, right? Think what you will about him, but he says it differently, at least. You may not agree with what he says, but he definitely breaks the script of the traditional Republican and of the traditional politician. And what we saw today, Tim, of everything Jerome Powell said about the certainty of the rates coming in September, which I'm sure we'll get to here in just a moment. That was kind of just a little bit of what we were of bullishness compared to what we just got here from RFK, saying that not only is he endorsing Donald Trump for all of the reasons that he listed, there's a lot of them, but also he's likely to have a member on a chair on the team, whether that's an actual member of his cabinet or whether that's an advisory committee, whatever that means. It's going to be big because so Trump is pro Bitcoin now, right? Yeah. His understanding is maybe a 3 or 4 out of 10, right? If we're putting Tim as a 10, just kidding. Whereas RFK's understanding of Bitcoin is probably a 9 or 10 out of 10, right? So he's not quite Safadine Amos or Satoshi, but he is up there, right? He could probably speak and have coherent conversations with folks like that. So that's my take, right? He's a very important politician, and his legacy, his story is far from over. It looks like his campaign is coming to an end here, but his story is far from over in American politics.
Guys, we're not gonna do this because we got so much conversation.
What did he do?
No, Donald Trump is speaking live now.
Okay. He's had a scheduled rally.
Yeah, he is scheduled rally. I don't know if he's gonna mention RFK's stuff or not. We're not going to go live to it again because there's a chance it has nothing to do with anything. We're talking about just a regularly scheduled rally. But I do want people to even if people end up leaving the channel to go watch him, and some of you might do that, I want you guys to know Donald Trump is live, but we're not going to go talk there. I'm going to go ahead and transition here, though. Let's get away from the political system. Caleb Franzen is here, and I'm just very excited to have him back, first of all, but also discuss some of the details. Of course, this morning, Jerome Powell went live from Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and it was a speech that, at least the way we viewed it, I'm very interested to hear what your thoughts were, Caleb. I viewed it as a very confident sounding Jerome Powell, as someone who feels like he's done a good job with the policy he's had in getting inflation down to not quite where he wants to go, but down a good distance. The unemployment is not out of control, but it took a little spike that he didn't want. And it seems from what he said that they are definitely on pace to go ahead and change policy into a rate cut. But maybe you heard something different. Maybe you have insights that we could learn a lot from. Break us down from your perspective. What did you hear this morning? What stuck out the most to you?
So one of the things that we've all been talking about with respect to Powell and monetary policy and the Fed as an institution overall, one of the things I've said is that they aim to achieve maximum flexibility in terms of the outlook of monetary policy, right? This is why they say that they're going to be data dependent, so on and so forth. And so I still think that Powell and the Fed are optimizing for maximum flexibility, but now they've officially seemingly committed to cutting rates, and it looks like it's going to happen here in the next meeting in September. Mm-hmm. And so there was one sentence that really stood out to me in particular that kind of hammers that point home and really kind of confirms the perspective that I just shared. which is when Powell said, in quotes, "My confidence has grown that inflation is on a sustainable path back to 2%, excuse me." And so, one of the things, again, that Powell has said is that they need to see greater confidence. They need to achieve greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably back to 2% before they cut rates. Now he just said that he has greater confidence in that. So, by definition, that's likely telling us that they're getting ready to cut rates. And he said it's time, right? That's also a direct quote. It's time now. And, I think he also made it unequivocally clear that labor market conditions are going to continue to be an increasing focus and the primary focus right now for monetary things that Powell has said in terms of the press conference. Can you guys hear me?
It seems like it's going a little in and out. T Shroom, are we still good on our end? Is this something on our end, or?
I think it's coming back on my side. Hopefully, I can hear you, Tim.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Give me just a second here.
Is it us?
No, it's all good. Continue.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
All right. I think we're back. Awesome. Sorry about that, guys.
No worries.
Okay, so the other point that I wanted to make is Powell has talked about getting the balance of risks, and the balance of risks are coming into better balance, right? And now, he didn't really talk about that. In fact, the risk that he was pointing out was risks regarding the labor market and talking about how upside risks to inflation have dissipated. Again, direct quote. And so I think that's really important here, right? So the disinflationary thesis is intact. It will continue to be intact, but now the focus, the real market driving information likely is going to be coming from the labor market instead of inflation reports from here on out officially.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all really good stuff there. And I want to get your take on this, because this is going to be the next thing, Caleb, that I think a lot of people are going to be talking about. I mean, we gave our opinion this morning. I really kind of want to lean on your opinion on this one. But get ready, everybody, for some of the more bearish pundits to come out and say, oh, here we go, rate cuts, prepare for a crash, because historically we always crash after a pivot in the rate cut system. What are you watching for? Is that a guarantee? Are you in the camp that says we're going to crash? Do you think there's a way that we cut rates and continue to move bullishly in a similar format to maybe what we saw in 2020 and 2016? What are you looking for to remain bullish with rate cuts, or what are you looking for that could repeat history with a crash of the stock market because of fear of recession? What are your thoughts there?
So in the past, if we look at past rate cuts where a recession doesn't happen for 12 months after the first rate cut, I think the average S&P 500 return for that 12-month period is over 20%. So just because the Fed is cutting rates, context always matters, right? This is the key thing we always talk about when this question comes up, is the context for the rate cuts matters. Are we cutting interest rates because we went through an inflationary spike and have achieved a persistent degree of disinflation sufficient to the Fed's target, and now we're focusing on the labor market? Or are we cutting rates because shit is hitting the fan and there's a financial calamity and a crisis is unfolding, so on and so forth? So again, just because we're cutting rates, just because the Fed is cutting rates, context matters, the justification matters. And in this case, there's a reason why I've been calling these rate cuts, I've been calling them one of two things: disinflationary rate cuts or non-recessionary rate cuts. And so for the past year now plus, I've been talking about disinflationary and non-recessionary rate cuts, likely starting no sooner than the third quarter of 2024. And look, 2 months ago, I was saying that we're probably not going to get any rate cuts for the next 6 months until we saw the 6-month Treasury yield fall below 5.08%. And that happened in mid-September, 2 days after the Fed's FOMC policy meeting. What was that? A little bit more than a month ago. Yeah. And so now for the past month, I've been saying rate cuts are coming because the signal changed, right? I kept saying until we see that signal, then we're going to actually get rate cuts. And so now we have it.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to people. First of all, people need to make sure anyone who watches influencers or listens to things, the best minds out there know when to change their predictions on things. You think one thing at one time, you take in new data, you change it. There have been people calling for rate cuts for over a year now that are wrong until now. And now they're screaming from the rooftops, here we go, finally a rate cut. But that didn't change the fact they were wrong the whole time. Caleb, even like you said, on this channel, you talked about how you didn't think we'd actually see one until 2025. But we haven't had you on here in like 2 months or so. So we didn't get the perspective that about a month ago you're saying you took in the new data. You said, all right, this is it. We're getting it in September. We're right on board with you there. And I think that's a really good thing for people to hear and to see, and to know that the conditions are still in order right now to see those rate cuts in September. And I would almost say, I'll go back to you in a second. I would almost say what we heard from Jerome Powell today, this morning, while he didn't say the words, we are cutting by 25 basis points in September, everything he said inferred that that's exactly what's happening. But Caleb, you want to continue with that?
Yeah, I think what you just said there is perfect, right? Because we have to read through the lines a little bit, right? So we have to infer what he's trying to say. And then we also need to respect what the market is telling us in reaction to what Powell's saying. And so when we're seeing asset prices across the board move higher, whether we're talking about bonds, whether we're talking about stocks, whether we're talking about crypto, as we're seeing the dollar move lower and yields move lower on the day, that's a sign that the market is saying these cuts are now coming officially, right? And much sooner rather than later. T-Shroom, I know we didn't set this up before jumping on the call. I tried to share my screen with you. Do we have that available?
Oh yeah, give me just a second here.
There's a chart that I particularly want to share. I have it up on my side, so let me know when you have it.
While we're waiting on that to come up, everybody, we got 776 people watching right now. And unfortunately, we still have a decent amount of likes, but I think we're only at 278. Go ahead and smash that like button. This is a stream. If we want to do a live trade at the end of the show, a leverage trade, 500 guys, 500 likes by the end of the stream, we will do a live trade leveraged. We've done 2 this week, 2 successful ones. So if you want to see another one, you got to smash that like button. T-Shirt, are we ready for Caleb's chart?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
All right. So this is from Callie Cox. She works for Holtz Wealth Management. Look, this is a fantastic chart, and this is essentially representing what I was highlighting earlier, showing us the actual data. In blue, we have every time the Fed, we have the performance of the S&P 500 in the first year after the Fed's first rate cut. In blue, we're looking at the cases where there was no recession. In pink, I guess, we're looking at the cases where there was a recession within the first 12 months. And so, look, I think the data generally kind of speaks for itself. Obviously, we don't want to end up in the bottom half of this picture, but even in the cases where we do have a recession, sometimes it's not all that bad, right? And in the cases where we do have a recession, I think it's been higher 12 months later in each of those individual cases. And so again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cases going back to 1971 where the Fed was able to cut rates and we had positive S&P 500 returns in the first 12 months without a recession. And so I think that's really optimistic, right? So again, context matters here, and the data generally points to the fact that we can have positive outcomes after the Fed cuts rates.
That's a really good chart. What account was that on?
This is from Callie Cox, Callie ABOST.
Wow.
And just in case anyone is listening right now, and maybe for some reason you're not tracking what this has to do with crypto prices, everything Caleb is laying out that we're discussing right now is an indication where rate cuts would boost the price of Bitcoin and altcoins going into this fall. So I want to make sure we tie that correlation. Now, I have a question for you, Caleb, about, because you've been one of the guys I really love, and I say it all the time. We got to make sure we understand we live in a world of data and reality. You had been beating that drum for a long time, saying, listen, guys, everyone wants to speak about the fear and the doom and the gloom about where they think the economy is, but the data is still supporting that we're in disinflation, that the jobs are not as bad as people think. What was your reaction? Were you surprised? How did you respond to the report that came out that there were over 818,000 jobs that were faked? How does that, how from your perspective, I think you're a better expert on this field than the rest of us. Is that really, really a big deal? Is it not as big as some people are saying? How did you take in that information and let that apply into your investing?
Yeah, look, in my opinion, it's not a big deal at all. I've been involved in markets for 10 plus years now at this point, and never in the past have I seen people so focused on this particular revision report. And somehow, some way, it really mattered this time from people's perspectives. And I understand it's a scary figure to see. We had almost 1 million job revisions to the downside. I think the exact number was 818,000. Mm-hmm. But again, context is important here, right? Did those negative revisions mean that we had job contractions on the aggregate? No. In fact, it was the exact opposite. What this now means is over the course of the past 12 months, from April 2023 to March of 2024, we had an average of 175,000 jobs created each month. Again, that's not recessionary. Maybe it's not as good as we anticipated, but gaining 175,000 jobs on average for 12 months is not recessionary whatsoever, right? Like you have to be like in complete la la land Doomerville in order to think that creating 175,000 jobs per month is somehow recessionary. I don't see it whatsoever.
Yeah. So it's not that bad. but it is probably bad for the Bureau of Labor Statistics and their level of accuracy that they're pumping out for traders
Yeah, but
and investors.
again, like think about the context here. We had the largest downside revision in 15 years. The largest downside revision in 15 years, and we still created 175,000 jobs per month on average for 12 months.
Hmm.
I mean,
very good stuff. Well, let's do this. Let's
point.
get into actually talking about investments here, though, Caleb. So let's start looking back. What have you benefited the most in the last couple of months since we saw you? What are some calls that you were making back then that have absolutely crushed it? And what are you looking at in terms of investing going forward? Are you staying very heavily into like Bitcoin and certain safer stocks? Are you starting to branch out into more risky projects? Forecast for us what people should be looking to do investing wise in the next couple of months.
Stay long and strong. I think we might have some election year seasonality and some volatility here in the coming 40 to 65 days. And typically we see markets bottom in October on average and then really grind higher through the end of the year, right? So the last 2.5, 3 months of an election year are usually the strongest period in terms of asset returns. So, for me right now, the message has been very simple. You want to continue to be long and strong. I think for me, trading has taken a huge step back over the course of the past few months. And I've really just reallocated all of that capital that I would normally have in short-term trading opportunities to stack Bitcoin pretty aggressively, and continue to transfer a significant amount of capital out of my traditional banking accounts into Coinbase, and then transfer that newly purchased BTC onto cold storage, right? And so probably the only big portfolio shift that I've had has really probably materialized here in the last 2 weeks, which has been basically exiting my entire Ethereum position in favor of Solana. So I've done I've officially transferred that entire swap of a position in favor of Sol over ETH. But aside from that, I don't own anything else right now. I'm just BTC and Sol.
Tell the audience right here, because that's a very interesting move. Is that more about how bullish you are on Solana, or is there a level of bearishness about Ethereum that's causing you to make that move?
It's a combination of both. So, T-Shroom, if you want to go to my chart, I have a chart on this here that I'm sharing my screen on, looking at Solana relative to Ethereum. This is going back to 2021, basically the third, fourth quarter of 2021. I mean, guys, does this not look like a cup and handle?
That is I'll tell you this, that's a pretty cup and handle right there. Sometimes they can look a little ugly. That's a good looking one right there.
Yeah. And I mean, it's been pretty volatile here since December. No, decisive gains here in Solana relative to Ethereum. But generally speaking, what have we continued to do during this period? We continue to make higher lows, right? We continue to make higher highs. We achieved the breakout over the former all-time highs, and now we're retesting that zone. And so basically what I've done is, over the course, basically since August 11th, is when I've been, doing that reallocation shift. So, I've completed that now as of a few days ago.
I want to kind of comment on this because we've been saying here for a while, guys, it's not alt season yet. So anyone expecting alts to go nuts right now, you shouldn't be ready for that until later this year. But some people might say, well, Tim, what about Solana then? Even that chart we're just looking at there, how is it looking like Solana is going to outpace Ethereum? Guys, I've kind of been beating around the bush for this one for a little bit, but I've implied there's no longer just a big two in the crypto world, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Solana is creeping into a coin. We've watched it this entire bull market outrun the rest of the crypto space. It's not operating like a regular altcoin. It's not even operating like some of the top layer ones. It is operating more similarly to the power of Bitcoin and Ethereum early. So I think Caleb is dead on here. I'm not necessarily out of my Ethereum positions, but I absolutely believe if you asked me to put $1,000 into Ethereum or Solana, which one am I going to make more money on, both short-term and long-term, meaning a year or more? I think the answer is Solana at this time. Now, I'm still investing in Ethereum as a good diversification tactic here. But anyone who thinks like, man, the altcoin season must be all broken because of what Solana is doing. No, Solana really is not operating like a normal altcoin. It's operating like the more trusted commodity coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So very interesting stuff there. Caleb, before we transition, we're going to have our factoid of the day. I always love when you're on with me and we can, divide and conquer and get this right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Tim, the factoid elf was gobbled up by the RFK event. Much apologies on that.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, can you make one up for us, T-Shroom, on the spot? While Caleb I was going to ask Caleb.
I've never made a factoid.
I know.
I'll have to get
I
the
just thought
factoid
maybe. Listen, you were top of your class in the economic classes.
You
in
mean
college.
off the top of my head verbally?
You're a smart guy. Think of a funny fact. We can't not have a factoid of the day when Caleb is here. So the show must go on, T-Shroom, even if I got to give you a little bonus time. And Caleb's going to give it to you. Caleb, I wanted to ask, is there anything else that you think is really important that maybe channels really aren't covering in depth, or they are, but they're kind of misstrewing the information that you feel like people really need to know about?
I think people are just overthinking this market environment. Basically for the past month, a little bit more, I've been saying we could probably close our laptops for the next 3 to 6 months, go on vacation, enjoy the beach, spend time with family, do some meditation, work on ourselves spiritually, emotionally, so on and so forth. We can come back to our computers 3 to 6 months from now and probably be a lot better off, both financially, mentally, spiritually, health-wise, everything. And so I think a lot of people are just, really overthinking this market environment. I know there's some people talking about the banana zone and we're going to go through this exponent. Like, who knows? All I know for a fact is that we've been in a bull market. Equities have certainly been in a bull market, and crypto's, really kind of lagged behind. And so for me, I think that the bull market dynamics within crypto have been very concentrated over the past several months. And it's really just been in Bitcoin and Solana. And then you could probably include Ethereum in there. But it's been few and far between of other assets within the asset class that are doing well in this environment. On the contrary, most things are down 70%. And hey, maybe that's setting up for a beautiful buying opportunity, right? One of the things I say is I don't want to speculate on what the environment's going to be 3 to 6 months from now. I'd rather be involved in the trends that are bullish right now, right? How do I align with existing trends that we know for a fact, and then speculate that the trend is going to continue to be our friend, right? That's my personal style. So, for me, that's kind of how I've been approaching this. And so, what are people not talking about? I don't know. I think people are probably talking about too much, right? And the fact of the matter is, right, we continue to be in a resilient macroeconomic environment. We're having these disinflationary or non-recessionary rate cuts that are coming around the corner. Earnings growth in the S&P 500 continues to make new all-time highs in terms of forward 12-month earnings expectations. And so if asset prices are just a function of future cash flows, if those future cash flows are expected to increase, then the present value of those assets should also increase. And so by definition, we continue to be in a really strong market environment in equities. And I think now over the course of the past basically 2 months, we've really seen that broad-based participation kick in. And so, the trend is your friend, right? That's really just how I kind of think about this. So I'm still buying. Let's go. I think we got queued up for question of the day. So look, I think that simplicity in this market environment is going to be key, right? You just have to continue to trust and believe in the trends that have been in place now for 12 to 18 months, and continue to verify and validate that those underlying trends are still intact. But again, there's no need to overcomplicate this. We don't need to do a backflip, kickflip 180. Right. We just gotta ride the wave.
Yeah. And just, I 100% agree. Even though we have a daily show here, everybody, obviously we want you to come back every single day. I agree 100% with Caleb. There are certain people that it actually would be good to take a whole week off of ingesting crypto content. Hopefully you guys want to stick around and stay up to date with us, but I'm not going to lie to you guys. We tell you all the time, we want to make sure we improve and help you guys invest correctly. Sometimes it's good to get your brain away, because first of all, if you get stuck into something, there's a thing called tunnel vision. Sometimes you can get very locked in on things and miss the broader picture. I think Kale's 100% correct that if you want to keep things extremely simple for your long-term bags, just walk away and it's going to be better here in a couple of months when you come back. For our traders, obviously, you want to stay on top of what's happening every single day, what's happening in the news, whether you're a day trader or a swing trader. You want to make sure you're doing all that stuff. If you want to spend even more time than just our show, make sure you join our Discord and join our memberships. So you join our VIP trading group. We are crushing it over there right now. But long-term, let's say right now you went on a 4-month vacation, your portfolio would look very good when you came back. I believe that wholeheartedly. T-Shroom, you are standing in today for the Factoid Elf.
Yeah.
What do you have going for us?
I don't know how he does it. It was a tough job. And let me just say before we get into this, ChatGPT was not used at all for this last-minute factoid. And whether or not that's true is one of the factoids at the end of itself. Ladies and gentlemen, today's factoid of the day brought to you all by the best trading indicator, Lux Algo. You're going to need to look at this. This is Starry Night, and who made this is the question. Which artist painted the famous work, The Starry Night? Was it A, Claude Monet, Pablo Picasso, Vincent van Gogh, or Leonardo da Vinci?
Before we get going, I want people to know I have no idea what this is. But the good news is I've already gotten 3 questions right. Caleb, the good news from here on out, we have a new deal. If I get 3 factoids right a week, we do a $50 giveaway at the end of the week. And since there's no show tomorrow, we're announcing that today. So I'll give you a word here in a couple of minutes. You guys can enter. But as far as this one, I need your help. I need Caleb's help. A lot of people saying C, Van Gogh. Caleb, can you confirm that that's the right answer? Or are you kind of in my boat as well?
No, I know this one for a fact.
Okay.
It's C, Vincent Van Gogh.
All right, listen, T-Shroom, I don't want to go with anyone else's guesses. I'm going to say C, Vincent Van Gogh. It was just in my heart. Let's see if.
How could he not know? He's been in Europe for so long. This is the kind of stuff they pound into your head over there. Of course, we don't know if it's true. Let's find out. Oh, he's got it.
There we go.
It takes a village. I see somebody guessed B. Somebody guessed D. So they were trying to bet it all on Leonardo da Vinci. Huh? Yeah, not a bad guess. No, wait, what's that? Oh, the Factoid elf is telling me that there's actually another factoid.
No way! Oh, so he did make one today for us.
Unprecedented. What's that? Oh, but this factoid is actually brought to you all by Decrypted.tax. You can save 25% off on crypto tax professional services. Which planet in our solar system has the most moons? Is it A, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, or Saturn?
Saturn has the rings. Isn't it Saturn? Caleb, I'm asking you on this one again as well.
It's either Jupiter or Saturn, but you just threw me for I think Saturn has like 7 or 8 moons, I thought. But maybe
I'm pretty sure it's well, other people are typing in C on this one as well. But I'm getting some D's. A username says Jupiter. Oh, yeah, so it's C. People are saying Jupiter. Okay. Oh, Jupiter has Saturn is 9. That's what I thought. I thought Saturn had 7 to 9 or so. Does Jupiter have more than that? Man, I'm really struggling. I studied space and the planets and all this stuff when I was like 8 years old, but it's been
exactly
22 years. Jupiter has like 24 months. Months doesn't help me, Drew P. We're asking about moons here. A lot of people saying C, but I thought it was Saturn with all those rings.
I would have gone Saturn, but
All right, here's what we're gonna do, Caleb. You choose one, I'm choosing the other. We're gonna split and conquer. We're getting this right one way or the other. What do you want?
I'll give you Jupiter. I'll take Saturn.
Okay, I'll take Jupiter. I'm going with chat C. My heart goes with Caleb on this one, but I'm going to go with C. Jupiter.
No, I think you got it.
I don't think so. Yeah. Okay. There we go. All right. There we go. Listen, it was a win-win situation. It was a win-win situation.
Oh,
how many?
Man.
Is it 9 T-shirt? How many moons does it have, and how many does Jupiter have?
That's a great question.
Okay.
Saturn has the most moons
in
our solar system with 146 moons.
What? 146?
Dude.
That is what that's the information given to me by the Factoid elf.
No way.
I don't think that's the truth. Yeah, okay, 146.
Yeah.
All right. What about
so how many does Jupiter have?
95?
Damn. Dude.
I don't remember. I know I wasn't a participant in this, but I don't remember these planets having this many moons.
I don't either. Do moons is it possible that since 22 years they've gained more moons? Is that something that happens
no.
on these planets?
Point.
Maybe
splitting?
Maybe
like
every
atoms?
time those
moons are splitting.
Maybe it's every time those crazy evolved apes on Earth fake a landing on one of their Earth moons, then another planet gets a real moon. Maybe that's
and here's another thing to think about. On those rings, the Saturn rings, there's definitely rocks and things. How big does a rock have to be before we constitute it's a moon?
Right.
And what's the definition of a moon?
Are these just moons identifying?
These are the real questions.
Are these just rocks identifying as moons?
T-shirt, we just found one more thing that further space exploration would really help us out with. And I know that's really one of your biggest passions in life is how we're going to fix the world with space exploration. So good little factoid of the day. All right, guys, that's I thought we were going to run a little bit longer, but honestly, that kind of answered a lot of stuff we wanted to get through. As I mentioned earlier, no show tomorrow morning. T-Shroom, what are you doing tomorrow instead of doing a Saturday show?
I'm moving. I am getting out of here. I'm moving out of the U.S. I can't do it anymore. No, I'm just kidding.
No RFK, no T-Shrew.
No, but the poly market here, just as we close out, pretty much unchanged. You would expect maybe RFK's announcement to have an impact here. But yeah, no, I'm moving. I'm moving further south in Florida. It's just not hot enough for me where I am. It's got to get hotter as we move into the fall months. So absolutely stoked for that. Sorry, I won't be here on Saturday, but if you just close your eyes real tightly and you think hard enough, Tim and I will stream right into your consciousness. So
yeah,
and where are you moving to, if you can share?
The Space Coast. Space Coast of Florida. So I'll be watching all the cool rocket launches and everything.
Sweet.
Yeah, what's your address you're gonna be at, and maybe your social security number as well. That'd be great.
You've got to sign up for the Discord to find out.
check out Bitcoin real quick. Listen, because we did not do a lot of charts. I'm going to close out with this. Bitcoin did kind of get up here. This was a trade, so it's too late now. I'm going to tell you guys, in our VIP trading group, we entered along way back here at 60,250 with our take profit at 63.8. I'm not saying that's the end and we're going to stop, but we did get there here briefly. I would not be surprised whether we push up higher or we come back down if we came back down to the green line as well. However, I am in another long trade at the moment, a much longer, lower leverage trade, but you got to be one of our VIP traders to see what that is. So make sure if you want to go deeper after the YouTube chat ends, the chat never stops in our Discord, and our members are constantly going back and forth about the crypto markets, giving some amazing insight. Go join our Discord today in our memberships. Also, in the link down below, if you just saw Caleb for the first time and you're wondering, man, where do I hear more about this guy's thoughts on the markets? Where do I hear about what hair products he uses that I need to duplicate? There's links down below to follow him on X and also sign up for his fantastic newsletter. I'll tell you this about it before I let you guys go. A quick little ad for it. And Caleb, he does not pay us for this. This is genuinely just me talking about how good it is. A lot of times these larger accounts, you'll see some newsletters that are not written by the actual brain, the mindset that you're following. A lot of times they've hired somebody or they have an AI kind of working on it. Caleb refuses to deal with anybody else because he's like, I need my thoughts in this newsletter. So this is top-notch information. He pours his blood, sweat, and tears into it. Go sign up for the free version. And if you take a liking to it, I know he's got some paid versions as well where he goes deeper into his takes of what to do next. Go look at that and check it out today. Link in the description. Caleb, loved having you here. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you again soon. The rest of you, have a great day. See you Monday. Adios.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shouted out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, catch a word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.